So I just saw this article on the BBC News website, Gambling Addiction Clinic to help addicts aged 13 to 25. So this is where the NHS is to open its first clinic for young gambling addicts, and it's part of an expansion of support for those with an addiction announced in an NHS long-term plan which will see 14 clinics open around England. So this is great news, I think, because if young people develop a gambling addiction, that could be terrible for their life. I mean, if they just gamble away any money they earn or can borrow or anything like that, it could just cause their life to completely fall apart. But it does make me wonder whether gambling should actually be made illegal. I mean, that's quite an extreme thing to say, perhaps, because perhaps you can't ban everything that could potentially be bad. But the problem with gambling is the gambling industry is built entirely on gambling addiction. I mean, think about it. If people didn't get addicted to gambling, they wouldn't be spending all that money in casinos and in betting shops. So it is the addiction that is funding those businesses. And often, the people that are most addicted are probably going to be those with the least amount of money, because what drives people towards wanting to win money is when they haven't got much money. So often the most vulnerable in society are those which fall victim to gambling addiction. What do you think? Do you think gambling should be made illegal? Or perhaps not completely illegal, but it should be made more difficult, perhaps, or regulated more tightly? Because at the moment you have these betting shops on every high street, and anyone over the age of 18 presumably can go into those betting shops and bet, and there will be no checks placed on them as to whether they're already in debt or whether they're hard up, whether they've actually got the money to lose. Because actually, when you gamble, you shouldn't be gambling with money that you can't afford to lose. So the only people that should really be gambling are rich people who can afford to lose a significant chunk of their money, whereas people who don't have much money really should not be gambling. So there should be that check there, I think. But anyway, I'm interested to hear what other people have to say about this. So please let me know in the comments section what your thoughts are. Should gambling be made illegal? Or should it just be more tightly regulated or more checks placed? What do you think? Let me know. I just did a quick search and I found this page on debatewise.org. Gambling and casinos should be banned. So this has a list of reasons why gambling should be banned. The first one is, to gamble is irrational and reckless. There may be the possibility of winning a big prize, but the overwhelming likelihood is that a gambler will lose money. Casinos calculate their odds so that they will always make a profit. Gambling attracts people with little money who are desperate for a windfall. These are the people who can least afford to lose money. They should be protected from the temptation to gamble. Gambling should be banned or at least very tightly controlled. So that's just what I was saying, actually. And a really good point is made here that casinos design their games specifically so that overall they always win. So if you spend a lot of time in a casino, in the end you're going to lose. Occasionally you might make a huge amount of money, but most of the time you're going to lose. And you quite likely could lose money that you cannot afford to lose. The opposing argument to this says gamblers know that overall they are likely to lose money. They gamble because it is a leisure pursuit they enjoy. Well, sometimes, maybe, yeah, but often they get addicted, you see. Anyway, it goes on to say, there is nothing irrational about this. Some people get an enjoyable thrill from the remote possibility they might win a huge prize. Even if they lose, they enjoy the experience. Well, that doesn't cover everyone, does it? I mean, there's a lot of people who are going to be really short on money and they're desperate to win that money, and if they lose, they're going to be devastated. But anyway, it goes on to say, some forms of gambling are highly sociable. For example, many people go to bingo halls to spend time with friends. Society accepts people spending or wasting money on other leisure pursuits with no material benefits, e.g. cinema tickets, watching sport. Gambling should not be any different. It is patronising to suggest that people, including those on low incomes, should not be able to choose how they spend their money. Yes, but it doesn't work like that, does it? You can't really compare going to the cinema to going to a casino. You go to a cinema, you spend what? I don't know, £10, $10, whatever it is, a moderate amount of money to watch a film, right? You watch that film for a couple of hours, then maybe you go home, or maybe you go for a few drinks somewhere with your friends. there's nothing particularly addictive about that experience. I mean, obviously you can get really keen on watching films, but there's only so many films you can watch in a day, so, how much money can you spend on films in one day in the cinema? Not a huge amount. Whereas in a casino or a betting shop, it is possible to lose a huge amount of money very quickly. You can place several really big bets chasing your losses and lose huge amounts of money. So that's not a good comparison at all. The next argument says, gambling is addictive. Many people end up gambling to try to recover money they have already lost. This is what I was just saying, actually. This is known as chasing losses. It results in people staking more and more money, most of which they will lose. Gambling addicts often turn to crime to feed their addiction. Addiction is highly damaging to families since gamblers will spend whatever money they can on gambling. People start to gamble without thinking that they will become addicted. Once they become addicted, it's too late. As with drugs, it's better to ban gambling to stop people getting started in the first place. And then the opposing argument is, unlike drugs, gambling is not physically addictive. Well, I take issue with that because it's known that when things are psychologically addictive, there is a physical component. It's to do with your brain releasing dopamine or something like that. It's to do with the reward pathway in the brain and dopamine. So you get addicted to your brain releasing this reward chemical, dopamine, in your brain over and over again. There might be more going on in the brain as well, but to say it's not physically addictive is not true because there are physical chemicals going on in the brain. It's similar to how people get addicted to things like Facebook. You get an addictive hit physically in your brain when you see new notifications or new likes on your Facebook posts and that kind of stuff. Anyway, it goes on to say, it is only psychologically addictive in some people. Only a small percentage of gamblers have an addiction. Many more get enjoyment from gambling without problems. Why should these people suffer because a few others get addicted? The risks of gambling addiction are well known. People can make a conscious choice to start gambling and are aware of the risks of addiction. Treatment programs can address the problems of those who are addicted. Well, I'd be interested to know what percentage of gamblers actually do get addicted, so why don't I take a look into that now? Well, Wikipedia says that in North America the percentage of problem gamblers was 2.3% in 2008. That's actually not that high, really, but problem gamblers probably means people whose lives are kind of destroyed by gambling, people whose lives are out of control, where they've spent all their money and they're in debt and their marriage has fallen apart or they've lost their house or something like that. That's what I imagine that to mean, but I do wonder just how many of the other gamblers are at least somewhat addicted to gambling. Because I think the whole process of gambling is an addictive process, isn't it? It's that rush of expectation of wondering whether you're going to win next or not. Next it says, gambling promotes unhealthy values. It makes people concentrate on winning money. This implies that they should value material goods above other things like friendships and families. It also sends out the message that success not necessarily be the result of merit and effort. Instead, government should promote values like thrift, hard work and self-reliance. And the opposing view is, there is no evidence that gambling makes people not care about others. People do not gamble because they expect to win lots of money. Most gamble as a form of entertainment. There are many areas of life where success is not the result of merit or hard work. Someone born to well-off parents may get many advantages in life without merit or hard work. There are therefore no grounds for thinking that gambling promotes undesirable values. Then next it says, casinos are often associated with criminal activity. Drug dealers and prostitutes operate near casinos. They know that there are a large number of potential clients in the area. Casinos can therefore be devastating to neighbourhoods. And the opposing view is, people committing crimes should be prosecuted. The existence of criminals does not make nearby businesses, including casinos, immoral. It is perverse to punish people who just want to gamble and not take drugs or use prostitutes by taking away their chance to do so. The next one says, the economic benefits of casinos are exaggerated. They generally only create low-paid jobs for local people. The casino companies usually bring in managers from elsewhere. There is still considerable unemployment and poverty in places like Atlantic City. The problems associated with casinos, e.g. crime, gambling addiction, outweigh the economic benefits. In any case, an immoral industry is not justified by the fact that it creates employment. jobs could be created through many other industries that cause fewer moral and practical problems, e.g. theme parks. And the opposing view is, far from harming neighbourhoods, casinos can revive areas. They create jobs and cause money to be spent on transport infrastructure. The jobs are not just in the casino itself. More jobs are created in hotels and other parts of the tourism industry. Casinos have helped to regenerate many places that previously had considerable poverty and social problems, e.g. Atlantic City in New Jersey. And then it says, it is immoral for the state or charities to raise money by exploiting people's stupidity and greed. Taxing gambling is a regressive tax. This means that the poor pay a greater proportion of their income tax than the rich. This is because poor people are more likely to gamble. Regressive taxation is deeply unfair. And the opposing view is, gambling is often used to raise money for the state or good causes. Many governments tax gambling. Some even run their own lotteries. Charities use prize draws to raise funds. And the final argument on here says, internet gambling is especially dangerous. Someone can become addicted very easily. They don't even need to leave their home. This also means that they are gambling in private. They may therefore be less reluctant to wager very large sums they cannot afford. It is very hard to know the identity of an online gambler. There have been several cases of people, including children, using stolen credit cards to gamble online. Online gambling may be hard to control, but that is not a reason not to try. Making an activity more difficult to pursue will still reduce the number of those who take it up. It is not impossible to put effective deterrent steps in place, such as the recent US ban on American banks processing credit card payments to internet gambling sites. And the opposing view says, it is impossible to stop online gambling. When it has been banned, people have just used sites based in other countries. It is better to legalise and regulate online gambling than to drive gamblers to poorly regulated foreign operators. Regulation can reduce the problems identified by the proposition. For example, online gamblers can be required to give personal details when registering, e.g. occupation, income. If this information suggests they are spending more than they can afford, the company can block their credit card. In any case, most online gamblers do not get addicted. Why should they be denied an activity that they enjoy? Anyway, so there you go. That's a look at the points for and against gambling being banned. Personally, I think there is quite a good case for it to be banned, or at least very tightly regulated, so that people who are very vulnerable don't get addicted to gambling, or are less likely to get addicted to gambling, and therefore have their lives fall apart. And ultimately, that's the key issue. We don't want people getting addicted to something that they cannot afford to get addicted to, and then having their life fall apart. But anyway, I'm interested to know what your thoughts are, so leave a comment in the comment section below. Anyway, I hope you found this video interesting, and if so, give it a like and possibly subscribe too. Until next time, I wish you the very best of health.